what we are seeing as a headline now with a suggestion of what happened with, obviously, the loss of this genius and artist, Prince. We don't know a lot of the information yet, but there is a headline, a detail that really strikes home for you and for many people who are concerned about Americans' health. Opioids, pills, not the stuff they sell in the back alley, the stuff that's found in a medicine cabinet. Many rehabs around the country are now calling the medicine cabinet the new drug dealer. Pills that you get from friends as pain pills, leading to heroin addiction, opiates. They are a scourge across the country. The numbers are skyrocketing. The rehabs are filled with pill poppers. What can we do about it?
Chris, you're absolutely right, and this is an epidemic now in my state of Ohio and around the country. The United States Congress doesn't usually move very quickly, but on this legislation, we moved to produce what's called the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act in the Senate, and we had a 94-to-1 vote back on March 10th, so just over 40 days ago. That never happens in the United States Senate, as you know, and it's bipartisan, even nonpartisan, because it's affecting every single state and every congressional district. We're now urging the House to move quickly. They are having some hearings and markups this week. I hope they'll vote on it week after next, and we can actually do something to help in these communities. The federal government needs to be a better partner. But you're absolutely right. 120 Americans are dying every day. It is a heroin epidemic, but for 4 out of 5 of these heroin addicts, they started on prescription drugs.
And
so
a lot of them
is
stay
to raise
on
that
it
awareness.
as well.
You're doing it.
We just heard it from an expert saying that there are 7,000 emergency visits a day because of these types of pills. Now, the delay in the House, is that just about constipated process, or is this about Big Pharma getting its head in the game?
No, I think it's honestly about people with good intentions who are trying to work through the process themselves. You know, they wanted to have hearings. When Paul Ryan became Speaker, he said he was going to go by regular order. That means allowing the committee chairs and subcommittees and committees to do their work. I understand that, but this is a crisis, and it needs immediate action. So I have called on the House to move more quickly. I will say, too, that this legislation, the comprehensive legislation we passed in the Senate, was bicameral, meaning that we worked with the House on it for the last 3 years. We had hearings in Washington where we brought in House and Senate members, and so it's something that has 120 co-sponsors in the House, and it is what the groups around the country are supporting, including these folks who, as you know, the concern I heard on your program earlier, 9 out of 10 people are not able to get into treatment right now. Sometimes it's because of the stigma associated with addiction, which we need to break down. But sometimes it's because there simply is not adequate access, particularly in our rural areas. So this is something we can address in Washington to help, to provide resources for what we know works, for evidence-based programs, treatment and recovery, and to put more funds and focus on awareness and prevention and education, because if we can divert people from getting into the funnel of addiction in the first place, obviously that's incredibly important.
There's an added element
here, though. We don't know what
though.
happened with Prince. The reports are still coming in, but
we don't know about Prince yet, and let's reserve judgment, but it has brought something into the conversation that is worthwhile, especially because there's a nefarious aspect to this that you don't deal with any other drug. This isn't sneaking across the Mexican border or from Canada. This isn't bought in a back alley. Doctors are often involved in this. These pain clinics that have popped up all over the country with variable degrees of regulation. Will CARA, the C-A-R-A, the bill that you passed in the Senate, will it address that?
Yes, it addresses it in a couple different ways. One, setting up a national drug monitoring program, because you're right, prescription drugs that are legally prescribed is certainly a huge part of the problem. And the heartbreaking stories that I hear, we had someone testify last week whose son went in to have his wisdom teeth taken out and ended up getting addicted to the pain pills and then turned to heroin as a less expensive alternative. And he was one of those tragic 120-day Americans who lose their life from an overdose. So it's happening. Second, we have a program in there to increase this drug take-back, because you're right, we got to get these drugs off the bathroom shelves and get everyone engaged in this process. So for those listening today, watching this program, go into your medicine cabinet, get rid of this stuff. Every police station in America is happy to take it, but also communities have national drug take-back days now. Most of them have it 2 or 3 times a year. This is incredibly important, because you're right, most of this addiction starts with prescription drugs. We have to get at it. We have to stop the over-prescribing, and this is a longer-term challenge that we have with the medical profession to ensure that people are getting the pain medication they need, but they aren't being over-prescribed, which is one of the huge problems.
Senator, it matters to you, it matters to the country, it matters to us. Please keep us in the loop so we can keep people aware of this situation. And thank you for being on New Day today.